I feel like a lot of people make this mistake of like, I don't like what I'm doing, so I have to change my niche completely and like go from being a financial expert to like creator in fashion, for example. Like, try to
go from like basket weaving to AI or who knows.
When do you think it's the right decision? And when do you think people should think about just tweaking the processes? Like maybe delegating something, getting rid of something, but staying in their niche?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're looking at this through a business context and you are running your own business, right? If that's what we're looking at through that lens with 3 businesses, I think it's really important to identify what your genius zone is. You know, we all know the 80-20 rule, right? Where 80% of our results are going to come from 20% of our inputs. And then the inverse, which I think is oftentimes more interesting and overlooked, is also true. So 80% of our stress comes from 20% of our inputs. So if you kind of look at and analyze objectively in your business or 3 businesses, whatever you've chosen, and you start to really get honest between you and you of like, where are the big drains on your psychic energy, your emotional energy, where you're just like, oh my God, stick a fork in my, like, I cannot do this. You'll know where those things are that you, if you're in the beginning stages and you cannot afford to delegate it, well, now we have AI and AI, you know, there's a lot of new tools that have never been available before. Or if you need to hire, delegate it out, find a partner. Like there's many different ways to get those things off your plate. I think that realistically for most of us, you know, when I started my business, I was a solo person for probably like 5 or 6 years. That was my choice. And so I wore all the hats and I was not good at all of them. But once you start getting traction and you start getting revenue in the door and a little bit of profit, if you want to get to that next level, you do have to continue to peel away the things that drain you, because your genius zone is where you're going to not only find the most joy, the most energy, but it's probably going to create the most value in the marketplace. And it's going to give you something that for me has been very, very important, which is longevity and sustainability.
Yeah, this is what I noticed. Because if you're in your career for 10, 15 years, magical things start to happen.
That's right.
If you're a good person, if you're hardworking, if you appreciate your art.
Yes.
And I see it in the US, and it's like such a game changer for me and for a lot of immigrants, because they're struggling the first years, but then guys, just give it 10 years.
That's right. And that's what happens if you actually really, really, really genuinely love the thing that you're doing. And you can, again, carve through that 60, 70, 80% is like joy zone. And then maybe there's the 20% that feels a little bit laborious or it's tedious. And then there's a tool that I like to share called Bring the Party. So this is something that I learned from my folks who are amazing. When we were young and my dad would have these clients who wanted like a rush job, and it was all in printing. So again, back in the day, we're talking like the 80s now. And rather than being away from my dad for the weekend because he had to go handle all of this work for the clients, what my parents chose to do is bring my brother and myself to the shop. And they would bring a boombox, they would get pizzas, and we would literally help my dad complete a rush job, but we would turn it into a party. So he would give us little jobs that were legit jobs, like it wasn't just busy work. And so we felt very engaged in the process. Now, would we want to be working over the weekend? Not necessarily, but this tool of bringing the party is like, you are either going to endure something or you're going to enjoy it. Right? If you endure something that you have to do, like your taxes, like writing a pitch, any aspect of your business that absolutely must get done, and at this stage in the game, you don't have anyone else or you don't have an AI agent or any support to do it, what are you going to do? Are you going to cry in your cereal and then drain all your energy and then not have anything else to give to your relationships or your health? Or you can bring the party and enjoy it.
How do you bring party to taxes?
So you can bring the party to taxes like if you have any great music, right, that you want. And you're like, all right, I'm going to play my best tunes and I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to just start my taxes. Like I may not have to finish them, but I'm going to have a little party while I do it. Because one of the ways around procrastination, especially for some type of task where you're just like, oh my goodness, I want to do anything else. I mean, you can bribe your friends to come over and do it with you. There's so many creative ways to bring a party to a task, but it's a really wise mental trick to not drain your energy, to get things done, and to really on a more spiritual and soulful level say like, this is my whole life. Like if you have to do it, why not enjoy it?